I was asked, there's a lot of rabbis putting out now declarations, please say Tehillim and give charity and so forth. We'll discuss this in a minute. But I was told by a leading Chabad rabbi in Israel, I challenged him and the rabbis, how is it you don't oppose when Prime Minister of Israel, Barak, created one of the greatest betrayals in human history by withdrawing Israeli forces from southern Lebanon and abandoning the Christians that had given their lives to protect their own families and to protect the land of Israel from the north. And in the middle of the night, the coward led the Israeli forces out of the land of Israel. This coward led the Israeli forces out of Lebanon, leaving these people to be murdered by Hezbollah. And no one protested. And it was clearly creating a danger that now there's 250,000 missiles aimed at Israel from Hezbollah in Lebanon. And I asked this Chabad rabbi, how is it no rabbi is speaking up against this? And he said to me, it was an in-person conversation, and everyone has to know what he said. He said to me that the rabbis are terrified of the government. This is going back to 1999. They're terrified of the government. The government's tapping their phones. They're afraid to say anything against the government. This is who you're relying on for your kashrus, your food. This is who you're relying on to tell you the difference between the right and wrong, and they're terrified of the government, and they're afraid to speak up against the government, and that's why every single letter coming out on what to do now, nothing from the rabbis calls the Israeli government to task. Because to say that people should pray and take on more mitzvahs, the Israeli government is pretty sure that they've got things under control if people are doing that. But what they're really afraid of is if people will call out exactly what's happened and say, no more. We refuse to tolerate the elimination of the Jewish people in piecemeal by piecemeal. Rachmana litzlan. May God Almighty save every human being and every Jew and every Arab in Israel and every place in the world who is under the threat of this terror. So that's the status of what's happening right now. And none of these people have the courage to come out and speak about this because since 1999, can you imagine how they stayed silent, and when many stayed silent through Gaza, and they've stayed silent through each of these things. And now people are angry that I'm speaking up. I'm breaking the unity. The unity of what? The unity of the march to comply with what the terrorists want us to do? That we're supposed to stand united with people that the Rebbe, our Rebbe, the Lubavitch Rebbe said are making war against God Almighty, against the Torah and against the Jews. We're supposed to stand united with such forces? And when the war is only accelerated? These are the facts. This is the Metzias Devarim. This is the reality of the situation, my friends. There are so many good people their lives are being shattered by this. All those men who are going up to battle right now and singing songs of victory, they really don't understand where their leaders are. They don't understand what their leaders have in mind for them. They don't understand how their commanders, the commanders immediately above them, don't even understand this either. They're all well-meaning. They're trying to keep the traditions of fighting strong for Am Yisrael and the people of Israel, and they're singing songs. They don't understand that in every war, the leading commanders sought the defeat of the Jewish people. In the Yom Kippur War, the similar thing happened, that the Israeli and highest levels were warned that there was going to be an attack. They got the code word that said there was going to be an attack, and they knew when it was, and the highest ranks decided not to call up the reserves and tell the people. And I just saw Jem put out a video of the Lubavitch Rebbe speaking after the Yom Kippur War and what he did to try to avert it and what happened afterwards. And they had a video there, a clip of Moshe Dayan. I'd never seen him before because I thought that maybe this was some sort of rumor that the Israeli government knew when they didn't tell anybody. Moshe Dayan said that they knew and they decided not to take action because they wanted to accomplish some political advantages. The political advantages is the defeat of the Jewish people and the 2,000 soldiers that were murdered because the government refused to take action. And in every war, it's like that. In every war. And the Hezbollah and the terrorists, they like these wars, these incursions. You know why? Because the soldiers, their hands are so tied. They learn, they practice techniques. They now know how to blow up the famous Merkava tank. They know how to kill people in new ways, because they get all these experiences are just The Syrians love when the Israeli F-35s fly over to bomb some sort of targets. Why? Because they get to test their radars, the anti-aircraft machine guns against these modern. That's the only place in the world where the F-35 is in actual military use, actual active combat. So this is great experience. All the guys who survive each one of these, they become senior officers in these terror organizations. They know how to face battle. They know how to do what they do. But meanwhile, all these good Israelis, and these Israelis include not only Jews, they include Druzim, murdered, shot on the border, trying to defend their own communities and defend the land of Israel, led to defeat because they're not allowed to fight like fighters fight, like people who are really committed to following what God Almighty's word is and making it a preemptive strike, even on Shabbos, even in a case of doubt.